Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, English Journey Conversation. I am very happy that you are here today. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Your support helps this channel grow and helps more people learn English. In today's episode, we are going to talk about something very important for learning English. We will talk about input and output. These two things are very important if you want to understand English well and speak English with confidence. Many learners do not know how these things work, but after this lesson, everything will be clear. First, let me explain what input and output mean. Input is the English that comes into your brain. This means the English you listen to and the English you read. For example, when you listen to English videos, podcasts, movies, or songs, that is input. When you read English books, articles, or messages, that is also input. Output is the English that goes out of your brain. This means the English you speak and the English you write. When you talk to someone in English, answer questions, or write messages, emails, or stories in English, that is output. You may ask, why are input and output so important? The answer is simple. This is how humans naturally learn languages. Think about how you learned your first language when you were a child. Did you study grammar rules? Did you memorize long word lists? Of course not. You learned your language by listening and watching. When you were a child, you listened to your parents. You heard people talking around you every day. You did not understand everything at first, but slowly your brain started to understand. This was input. After a long time of listening, one day you started to speak. You said your first words. This was output. This same process works for learning English. Your brain learns best when it receives a lot of input first. When you listen and read a lot of English, your brain starts to recognize patterns. It learns how sentences are formed. It learns how words are used. Then, when you start speaking or writing, your brain uses what it has learned. Many English learners feel frustrated. They watch English videos, listen to podcasts, and read English texts, but when they try to speak, they feel nervous. They feel stuck. They do not know what to say. If you feel like this, do not worry. You are not alone. Many learners feel the same way. The reason this happens is often because learners do not understand how input and output work together. Input helps your brain learn. Output helps your brain practice. Both are necessary. When you use them in the right way, you can train your brain to think in English naturally. In this episode, you will learn how to balance input and output. You will learn how to use them together so you can improve your English step by step and feel more confident when you speak. Many English learners make small mistakes that slow down their progress. They study a lot, but they do not see good results. This happens because they do not find the right balance between learning English and using English. Remember, we are not learning English only to pass exams or tests. We are learning English to communicate with people, to share our thoughts, to express our feelings, and to connect with others around the world. In today's lesson, you will learn several important things. First, you will understand what input really means and why listening and reading are the foundation of English learning. Second, you will learn what output is and how speaking and writing help you become fluent. Third, you will learn how to balance input and output correctly. You will also learn common mistakes to avoid and simple tips that you can start using today in your daily life. If this sounds helpful, stay with me until the end. These ideas can truly change the way you learn English. And if you have not subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you do not miss future lessons. Now, let's begin and explore the world of English input and output together. So, what is input in language learning? Input is the English that you receive and absorb. It mainly comes from listening and reading. Input is everything that enters your brain before you start using English in speaking or writing. When you listen to English conversations, watch videos, hear podcasts, or read books and articles, you are receiving input. Input is very important because your brain needs time to understand the language. Think again about how children learn their first language. Before children say their first word, they spend many months just listening. They listen to their parents, family members, and people around them. They hear the same words again and again. They watch facial expressions and body language. Slowly, their brain starts to understand meaning. Only after a long time of listening do children begin to speak. They say simple words like mama or dog. This shows how powerful input is. The brain collects language naturally, and when it is ready, speaking begins. This same process happens when you learn English as a second language. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine a woman named Sarah who wants to improve her English. Every day, Sarah listens to an English podcast for 20 minutes. She also reads one short English news article. At the beginning, she does not understand everything she hears or reads. This is completely normal and not a problem at all. Over time, something interesting happens. Her brain starts to recognize new words and common phrases. She begins to understand sentence patterns. After a few months, Sarah notices that she can understand conversations more easily. She feels less confused when listening to English. This is the power of input. Her brain is learning quietly step by step, even when she is not trying too hard. Input prepares your brain for output. When you listen and read enough English, speaking and writing become much easier and more natural. After some time, Sarah notices something new. She can understand conversations more easily. She also starts using some of the same words and phrases when she speaks. She does not force herself to memorize them. They come naturally. This is the real power of input. When your brain hears and sees English many times, it slowly learns how to use it on its own. So, what exactly counts as input? Input is anything you hear or read in English. For example, listening to podcasts, songs, or real conversations is input. Watching movies, YouTube videos, or TV shows in English is also input. Reading books, news articles, messages, or social media posts in English is input too. Every time you do these activities, your brain is working quietly. Even if you do not notice it, your brain is collecting new words, grammar patterns, and natural sentence structures. You may feel like you are not learning, but your brain is learning in the background. This kind of learning is very powerful because it feels natural and relaxed. Now, let's talk about why input must come before output. You cannot speak or write something that you have never heard or read before. Think about building a house. You need bricks before you can build the walls. In the same way, input is the foundation of language learning. If you want to speak English fluently, you must first fill your brain with English. This means you need good input every day. The more English you hear and read, the stronger your foundation becomes. Without enough input, speaking feels difficult and stressful. Input is the foundation of fluency because it gives your brain the tools it needs. It helps you form sentences, share ideas, and express your thoughts naturally. Many English learners struggle because they do not get enough real input. Instead, they spend too much time memorizing grammar rules or long vocabulary lists. The problem with this method is that learners often do not hear how words are used in real life. When it is time to speak, the words feel strange or hard to remember. English feels unnatural and slow. But when you get a lot of real input, English starts to feel automatic. You do not stop to think about grammar rules. You do not translate in your head. Instead, correct sentence patterns come naturally just like they do for native speakers. This is the magic of input. The more English you see and hear, the more your brain absorbs it. Over time, speaking and writing become easier and smoother. You feel more confident because English starts to feel familiar. Now, let's talk about different types of input. Not all input is the same. There are two main types: passive input and active input. Passive input means English is around you, but you are not fully focused. This is also called background exposure. For example, you might play an English podcast while cooking, cleaning, or driving. You might watch English videos while relaxing. Even though you are not paying full attention, your brain is still hearing English. Passive input is helpful because it increases your exposure to the language. It helps your brain get used to English sounds, rhythm, and pronunciation, even when you are busy. Watching a movie with English subtitles but not paying full attention is also passive input. Listening to English music while doing housework is another example. In all these situations, English is around you, but you are not fully focused. This kind of input helps your ears get used to English sounds, rhythm, stress, and tone. Even if you do not understand every word, your brain is still learning little by little. However, it is important to understand one thing. Passive input is helpful, but it is not enough by itself. Passive input helps you feel comfortable with English, but it does not always help you become fluent. To improve faster, you also need another type of input. The second type is called active input. Active input means you give your full attention to what you are listening to or reading. You focus your mind and really try to understand the English. For example, active input can be listening carefully to an English podcast and trying to understand each sentence. It can be watching a video in English without subtitles and paying attention to how sentences are formed. It can also be reading an article or a short story and stopping to check new words or phrases. Active input makes your brain work harder, and this is a good thing. When you focus deeply, you start to notice grammar patterns. You learn how native speakers express ideas. You remember vocabulary more easily because you see how words are used in real situations. Because of this, active input leads to faster improvement. It trains your brain to understand English more deeply and prepares you to use English when you speak or write. For the best results, you should combine passive input and active input. Passive input helps surround you with English every day. Active input helps you truly understand and learn new things. When you use both together, they create a strong foundation for fluency. Now, let's look at some real-life examples to understand how input improves skills over time. First example, listening growth over time. Imagine a man named Daniel. Daniel listens to English podcasts every morning while traveling to work. At the beginning, he understands only a few words. Most of the conversation sounds fast and confusing, but he does not stop. He keeps listening every day. After a few weeks, Daniel notices something interesting. He can understand more phrases. Some expressions start to sound familiar. His listening confidence slowly improves. One day, during a real conversation, Daniel uses a phrase he heard on the podcast. He uses it naturally, without thinking. This is input turning into output. Second example, reading and vocabulary power. Imagine a woman named Aisha. Aisha reads a short English article every day. At first, she meets many new words and feels a little tired, but she keeps reading. She sees the same words again and again in different texts. Over time, these words become familiar. She does not need to translate them anymore. Later, when she speaks or writes, these words come to her mind easily. This shows how reading input helps build strong vocabulary and confidence. These examples show that when you give your brain enough input, it slowly prepares you for output. Listening and reading may feel passive, but they are doing powerful work inside your brain. Aisha reads a short English story every night before going to bed. While reading, she highlights new words and checks their meanings. At first, this feels slow, but she continues every day. After some time, she starts to recognize these same words when people use them in conversations. Later, she begins using these words when she speaks or writes in English. Her grammar also improves naturally. She does not study grammar rules or memorize formulas. Instead, she sees how sentences are built again and again in real stories. Her brain learns grammar in a natural way through reading. This shows how powerful input can be when it is used regularly. Now, let's look at two more simple examples that clearly show how input helps improve English skills. First example, learning through listening. Imagine you listen to an English podcast every day while going to work or school. At the beginning, you only understand a few words. Most of the conversation feels fast and unclear, but you do not stop. You keep listening every day. After a few weeks, something changes. You start recognizing common words and phrases. You notice that some sentences sound familiar. You begin to understand full sentences without translating them into your own language. After a few months, you feel more confident. You can answer simple questions in English. Speaking feels easier because your brain has learned from what it has heard. Why does this happen? It happens because your brain has received enough input. It knows what English sounds like, how sentences are formed, and how ideas are expressed. This helps you respond naturally when you speak. Second example, learning through reading. Now imagine you read a short English story every night before sleeping. At first, you need to use the dictionary often. You stop many times to check new words. This is normal. But as you continue reading every day, you begin to recognize more words without checking. Over time, you understand sentences faster. You notice how English grammar works, even though you are not studying grammar rules. After a few months, your writing improves. You can write better sentences because you have seen real English used in real stories. When you speak, you can also use words and sentence patterns that you learned from reading. Why does this work? Because your brain collected useful input little by little. Reading regularly gave your brain many examples of real English. Now you may ask, how much input do you need to see progress? This is a very common question. The answer depends on how much time you spend with English and how focused you are. However, here are some simple and helpful estimates. If you listen to English for about 30 minutes a day, you may start seeing improvement in about 3 to 6 months. Your listening skills will improve, and English will sound more familiar. If you read English for about 15 minutes a day, your vocabulary and sentence skills can grow within a few months. If you combine both listening and reading, your progress will be even better. For example, listening for 1 hour a day and reading for 30 minutes a day can bring strong results. The key is consistency. Small daily habits can create big changes over time. Input may feel slow at first, but it is building something powerful inside your brain. With enough input, English becomes easier, more natural, and more confident to use. If you listen to English and read English every day, you can make strong progress. For example, if you listen daily and also read regularly, you may reach a conversational level in about 1 year. These numbers are not strict rules, but they show one very important idea. The more English input you get, the faster you improve. Now, let's think about one final idea about input. Input is like fuel for your English. Just like a car cannot move without fuel, your English cannot grow without input. If you do not feed your brain with English through listening and reading, you will not have the words or sentence patterns you need to speak or write well. But if you expose yourself to English every day, something amazing happens. You learn new words naturally. You start to understand English without translating. Slowly, you begin to think in English. You feel more confident when you speak or write. So do not worry about being perfect. Do not worry about mistakes. Just keep listening and reading every day, and your English will become stronger over time. Now, let's move to the second important part of language learning, output. In the last section, we talked about input and how listening and reading help you absorb English. Now it is time to talk about output. Output is the other half of learning a language, and it is just as important. So, what is English output? According to the Cambridge Dictionary, output means the amount of something that is produced by a person, machine, or system. In language learning, output means the English that you produce. This mainly happens when you speak and write. Output is how you express your thoughts and how you use what you have learned from input. You may understand English very well through listening and reading. You may know many words and understand many sentences. But if you do not practice output, it can be very difficult to communicate your ideas clearly. Output helps turn knowledge into real skill. Think about a simple real-life example, using music. Imagine someone who listens to music every day. They enjoy songs and recognize melodies, but they never try to play a musical instrument. Can they play music themselves? Probably not. They understand music, but they cannot produce it. English works the same way. If you only listen and read but never speak or write, you may understand English, but you will struggle to use it fluently. Output is the practice that helps you turn understanding into real communication. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine a man named John. John has watched English movies for many months. He understands most of the story and the conversations. But when it is time for him to speak English, he feels nervous. He forgets words. His sentences feel slow and uncomfortable. This happens because John has a lot of input but not enough output practice. His brain understands English, but his mouth and hands are not trained to use it yet. Output is the practice that connects your brain to real communication. Speaking and writing may feel difficult at first, and that is normal. But every time you try, your brain learns. Output helps you notice what you do not know, fix your mistakes, and become more confident. When you combine strong input with regular output, real fluency becomes possible. So John decides to make a change. He understands that watching movies is not enough. He starts speaking English out loud every day, even if he is alone. He also begins writing a short English journal every evening. At first, his sentences are not perfect. He makes many mistakes. He forgets words and sometimes feels confused. But he does not stop. Slowly, something changes. Day by day, John becomes more confident. Speaking English starts to feel more natural. Writing becomes easier. He no longer feels scared of making mistakes. Over time, John begins using English naturally in real conversations. The lesson from John's story is simple. If you want to become fluent, you must use the language. Now, let's talk about why output is so important. Many English learners spend a lot of time listening and reading. They enjoy videos, podcasts, and books. But they avoid speaking and writing because they are afraid of making mistakes. They worry about grammar, pronunciation, or sounding silly. But here is the truth. You cannot become fluent without using English actively. Speaking and writing are not optional. They are necessary. Output turns what you have learned into real communication skills. When you speak and write, your brain practices English, remembers it better, and improves faster. There are two main types of English output. The first type is speaking. Speaking means using your voice to communicate in English. For example, talking with a friend, answering questions out loud, practicing speaking alone, or joining group conversations. The second type is writing. Writing means using words to express your thoughts. For example, writing messages, keeping a daily journal, writing comments, or posting on social media in English. Both speaking and writing are important. Both help you become more fluent. You can think of output like a workout for your brain. Just like athletes train their muscles to become stronger, you must train your brain by speaking and writing in English often. To understand why output is so important, let's use a simple example. Imagine you want to learn how to swim. You watch swimming videos. You read books about swimming techniques. You study everything carefully. But if you never get into the water, will you learn to swim? Of course not. You must practice in real water. English works the same way. Listening and reading help you understand the language. But you only become fluent by using English in real life, by speaking and writing. Practice is the key. Here are some reasons why output is essential. First, it helps you remember more. When you speak or write, your brain works harder to find the right words and grammar. This strengthens your memory. Second, output builds confidence. The more you use English, the more comfortable you feel. Fear slowly disappears. Third, output shows you what you need to improve. When you speak or write, you notice your mistakes, and this helps you learn faster. Making mistakes is not a problem. In fact, mistakes are a sign that you are learning. Every time you speak or write, you are training your brain. With regular practice, English becomes easier, clearer, and more natural. When you combine strong input with regular output, real fluency becomes possible. Keep listening, keep reading, keep speaking, and keep writing. This is how English truly becomes part of you. Output also helps reduce fear and hesitation. When you try to speak or write and feel stuck, you discover your weak areas. This is a good thing. It shows you what you still need to learn or review. Output helps train your brain to think directly in English. Over time, you stop translating from your native language. Your thoughts begin to flow naturally in English. Just like input, output also comes in two main types. These are planned output and spontaneous output. Both are important and both help you grow in different ways. The first type is planned output. Planned output means you prepare before you speak or write. You have time to think about your ideas, choose the right words, and correct mistakes. This type of output is slower, but it is very useful. Examples of planned output include writing an essay or article, preparing a presentation for class or work, drafting an email or message, practicing a speech, or writing in a journal. Planned output helps you focus on correct grammar and vocabulary. It improves your writing skills and helps you learn how to build good sentences. It also boosts your confidence before speaking. A simple way to practice planned output is to write a few sentences in a journal every day. You can write about your day, your feelings, or your goals. This helps turn your thoughts into clear and organized English. The second type of output is spontaneous output. Spontaneous output happens in real time. It is unplanned. You speak or write as ideas come into your mind. You do not have time to prepare or think too much. Examples of spontaneous output include talking with a friend, answering questions in class or at work, making small talk while shopping or traveling, leaving voice messages, or joining online chats and discussions. This type of output is very powerful because it trains you to respond quickly in English. Spontaneous output builds real conversational fluency. It prepares you for real-life situations, such as travel, work conversations, or emergencies. It helps you stay calm and communicate even when you are not ready. A simple way to practice spontaneous output is to record yourself speaking for 1 or 2 minutes. Choose a topic and speak without preparing. Just talk. Then listen to the recording and notice what you can improve. This is a very effective exercise. Now, let's look at the big picture. Input plus output equals fluency. This is the complete language learning formula. Listening and reading help you understand English. Speaking and writing help you use English. One without the other is not enough. Fluency does not come from perfection. It comes from regular practice. You do not need to wait until your English is perfect to speak. You learn by speaking. You learn by writing. You learn by making mistakes and fixing them. When you combine daily input with regular output, English slowly becomes part of you. You feel more confident. You think faster. You communicate more naturally. This is how real fluency is built, step by step, day by day. Keep listening. Keep reading. Keep speaking. Keep writing. If you do this consistently, your English will continue to grow stronger over time. Fluency does not happen by magic. It comes from consistent practice using two key ingredients, input and output. Input is what you absorb from English. It comes from listening and reading. Output is what you produce in English. It comes from speaking and writing. Why do you need both? Input helps you understand English, grow your vocabulary, and improve your comprehension. Input can be passive, which is easy to start, or active, which helps you notice grammar, sentence patterns, and vocabulary. Output, on the other hand, helps you speak and write, strengthens your memory, and improves your ability to express ideas. Output pushes your brain to actively use English. If you have too much input without output, you may understand English but struggle to speak. If you have too much output without input, you may speak but with limited vocabulary or grammar, and your sentences may sound unnatural. The secret is to combine both every day. This is how your brain connects what you know to what you can say. Think of fluency as a cycle. First, there is input. You listen and read to collect new words, sentence patterns, and sounds. Next, your brain processes this information, storing it and connecting it to what you already know. Then comes output. You use this knowledge in real conversations or writing. Mistakes in output give you feedback. They show you what you need to practice more. Every time you repeat this cycle, you grow more confident and fluent. Here is the final message. The more input you get, the more you understand. The more output you practice, the more fluent you become. The more consistent you are, the faster you improve. Fluency is built, not born. Even 1 hour of focused English practice a day can change your life over time. To reach fluency, you need a balance of input and output. Too much input, only listening and reading, means you may understand English but cannot speak well. Too much output, only speaking and writing, means you may talk but lack the real vocabulary and grammar you need from English exposure. The key is to combine both every day. Even if you have limited time, you can improve by splitting small chunks of input and output throughout the day. Here is an example daily routine, about 30 to 60 minutes total. Morning, listen to a 10 to 15-minute podcast or read a short article. This is input. Midday, speak out loud or record a voice message summarizing what you learned. This is output. Afternoon, read a short story or watch a short English video. Input. Evening, write a few sentences in a journal or post a comment in English online. Output. By doing this every day, even in small amounts, your brain continuously absorbs new words, patterns, and grammar, and then practices using them. This daily mix of input and output builds fluency steadily. Small steps add up over time. Consistency is more important than long hours. Even short, focused practice every day will improve your understanding, speaking, writing, and confidence in English. In the evening, you can do some light English practice. For example, read a short story or watch a YouTube video in English. This is input. Then, before bed, write 3 to 5 sentences in a journal about your day. This is output. Even short sessions of 5 to 10 minutes are very powerful if you do them every day. The key is consistency, not perfection. Start small and gradually increase your practice time. Keep your learning fun and personal. You will stay motivated longer if your materials match your interests. For example, watch your favorite English TV show. Listen to music you enjoy and learn the lyrics. Read articles about topics you like, such as sports, fashion, or technology. Speak about your real thoughts, not just textbook exercises. Here is a quick daily challenge you can try. Speak in English for 5 minutes every day. Write 3 to 5 sentences about your day. That's it. It is simple, effective, and powerful. Even if you are busy, you can fit English practice into your schedule. Small daily habits can lead to big results over time. Here are some practical routines for different lifestyles. 1. Routine for students. Students often have more flexible schedules, which makes it easier to focus. Morning input. Listen to an English podcast for 15 minutes while getting ready. Afternoon output. Write a short paragraph about what you learned in class. Evening input and output. Watch a 30-minute English TV show and repeat phrases aloud. Extra tip. Join a conversation club or practice with a language partner weekly to improve faster. 2. Routine for workers. Busy professionals can still make progress by using small breaks wisely. Morning input. Listen to a podcast or audiobook during your commute for 20 minutes. Lunch break output. Write a short email or message in English. Evening input and output. Watch a 20-minute English video, then summarize it out loud. Extra tip: if you work in an English-speaking environment, try using English with your coworkers whenever possible. 3. Routine for very busy people. Even with very limited time, you can make progress by practicing in short bursts. Micro input: listen to English for 5 to 10 minutes while waiting, cooking, or doing chores. Micro output: speak aloud or write 1 or 2 sentences about what you did or learned. Extra tip: use every small moment to expose your brain to English. Short daily practice is better than nothing. No matter your schedule, the key is to mix input and output every day. Input builds understanding, vocabulary, and grammar. Output helps you speak and write naturally, remember what you learn, and become confident. Even just a few minutes every day adds up. Over weeks and months, your English will improve steadily. Remember, practice should be enjoyable and meaningful. Choose content that interests you. Speak and write about real topics, not just exercises. Use both short sessions and longer ones. Keep it consistent. This way, learning English becomes part of your life, and you will see real results. Even if you are very busy, you can still practice English by doing micro-practice. Small, consistent moments of learning are very effective. For example, in the morning, read a short English quote or a headline. This takes only 5 minutes. During the day, think in English while doing tasks. For example, say to yourself, "Now I am making coffee," or "I am walking to the store." In the evening, spend a short time on output. Use a microphone or phone and record a 1-minute voice message about your day. Even very short practice, done every day, adds up over time. You can also use language learning apps during small breaks, while waiting in line, or whenever you have a free moment. The key idea is to mix input and output every day. Fluency does not come from memorizing grammar rules. It comes from repeating the input-output cycle consistently. Input gives your brain new vocabulary, grammar, and sentence structures. Output trains your brain to use what you learned and respond naturally. Here is a simple formula that works. Listen, speak about it, read, write about it. Even just 5 to 10 minutes of output every day can make a big difference over time. The goal is a balanced routine. Combining input and output helps you speak more naturally and confidently. Here are some simple techniques to practice both. Shadowing. Listen to a sentence in English and repeat it immediately. Try to copy the speaker's tone and rhythm. This is excellent for pronunciation and speaking fluently. Speaking after reading. Read an article, story, or paragraph, then explain it in your own words. This helps your brain form sentences quickly and naturally. Writing plus speaking. Write a short paragraph or story, then read it out loud. This strengthens grammar, sentence structure, and speaking confidence. 1-to-1 rule. For every 10 minutes of listening or reading, try to speak or write for at least 10 minutes. This ensures you are actively using English, not just absorbing it. Consistency is the key to fluency. Many learners study hard, but do so inconsistently. They spend a few hours one day, then nothing for a week. This slows progress. Daily practice, even if it is only 15 to 30 minutes, is much more effective. Language learning is like forming a habit. Practicing every day helps your brain retain vocabulary, grammar, and sentence structures more easily. Regular daily exposure builds confidence, improves understanding, and strengthens your memory. You begin thinking in English naturally, instead of translating from your native language. Even short, focused practice every day, reading a paragraph, listening to a short podcast, speaking or writing a few sentences, adds up over time. Small, consistent steps are more powerful than long, occasional sessions. By combining input and output in a balanced way, your English improves steadily. You build listening and reading skills while simultaneously learning to express yourself through speaking and writing. This approach helps you communicate naturally, remember vocabulary, and feel confident in real conversations. Consistency, small daily sessions, and using content you enjoy are the keys to lasting progress. Remember, input builds understanding, output builds fluency, and daily practice builds habit. Do a little every day, and over weeks and months, your English will grow stronger and more natural. This is the real path to fluency, simple, practical, and achievable for anyone, no matter how busy you are. Here are some real examples that show why daily practice works better than rare, long sessions. Anna studies for 15 minutes every day. She listens to short podcasts, writes, and speaks in English daily. After 3 months, she feels more fluent and confident. John studies once a week for 3 hours. He forgets much of what he learned between sessions. His progress is slow and frustrating. The lesson is clear. Small daily steps are more powerful than long, rare efforts. A perfect daily routine for English includes both input and output. Input means listening and reading. This helps you absorb new words, phrases, and grammar. Output means speaking and writing. This is how you use what you learn to build fluency. Daily practice doesn't have to be long. Even 10 to 30 minutes is enough if it is consistent. Make it fun by choosing topics you enjoy, like sports, movies, travel, or hobbies. Many learners make common mistakes that slow progress. Here's how to avoid them. Mistake 1. Too much input, too little output. Some learners spend hours listening or reading but rarely speak or write. They understand English but cannot express themselves clearly. Fix. Start using what you learn. Speak about what you read. Write in a journal. Practice aloud every day. Mistake 2. Too much output, not enough input. Trying to speak or write a lot without listening or reading enough can cause problems. You may run out of vocabulary and create unnatural sentences. Fix. Feed your brain new words and patterns. Listen and read regularly so you have material to use in speaking and writing. Mistake 3. Fear of making mistakes. Many learners avoid speaking or writing because they are afraid of errors. But mistakes are not the enemy. They are part of learning. Even native speakers make mistakes. Fix. Accept mistakes as part of the process. Every mistake is a step toward fluency. Speak or write even if you feel unsure. Each attempt strengthens your skills and builds confidence. These mistakes show a bigger lesson. Balance and consistency are key. Too much input without output means you understand but cannot speak. Too much output without input means your English may sound limited or unnatural. Fear of mistakes stops progress. Avoiding these traps keeps your learning on track. By combining input and output every day, even in small doses, you create a cycle of learning. Listen and read to absorb English, then speak and write to use it. Mistakes give feedback, so you improve. Doing this every day builds confidence, vocabulary, and fluency steadily. Small daily steps are more powerful than long, occasional study sessions. In summary, a well-rounded routine includes input, listening and reading, output, speaking and writing, daily practice, even 10 to 30 minutes, fun topics you enjoy, and accepting mistakes as part of learning. Follow this, and your English will improve steadily. To improve in English, it helps to practice with supportive people. Find a tutor, teacher, or language partner who encourages you and helps build your confidence. Another useful method is to record yourself. Speaking aloud and listening back lets you catch small mistakes and notice your progress. Also, try to write something every day. Start small, even just a few sentences, and over time your writing will improve naturally. Here are some final thoughts on how to succeed in English learning. You don't need perfection. What matters most is practice and the right mindset. Key takeaways. Balance input and output. Input. Listening and reading build your understanding of English. Output. Speaking and writing build your fluency. Both are necessary. Be consistent. Just 15 to 30 minutes every day is better than studying for hours once a week. Daily practice helps your brain remember words, grammar, and sentence patterns more effectively. Make it fun and personal. Use English with topics you enjoy. Music, cooking, sports, travel, movies. Choose what motivates you. Learning becomes easier and more enjoyable when you care about the content. Embrace mistakes. Mistakes are proof that you are using and learning English. Everyone makes mistakes, even native speakers. Every mistake is a step toward fluency. Challenge to start today. Speak English for 5 minutes. Talk to yourself. Describe your day, or record your voice. Write 3 to 5 sentences about your day, your opinion, or a topic you love. Create your own English routine by combining input and output every day. Listen to a short podcast or read an article, input, then speak or write about it, output. Over time, this small but consistent effort builds fluency naturally. Fluency is not a dream. It is a habit built one day at a time. Here are some resources to continue your learning journey. Podcasts: The English We Speak, BBC. All Ears English, Luke's English Podcast. YouTube: Speak English with Mr. Duncan, English Addict, BBC Learning English. Apps and tools: EPS on e-flashcards, HelloTalk, Language Exchange, Grammarly, Writing Help, U-English, Real Pronunciation Examples. Final summary of key points. Think in English. Try to make your brain work in English instead of translating from your native language. English input equals listening plus reading. This is the foundation of language learning. The more you listen and read, the more natural English will feel and sound. Use a mix of passive and active input. Passive input helps you get used to the sounds and rhythm of English. Active input helps you notice vocabulary, grammar, and sentence patterns more clearly. Remember, input builds understanding, output builds fluency, and daily practice builds a habit. Combine these consistently, make it fun, embrace mistakes, and you will see steady improvement. English fluency is not a magic trick. It is the result of small, daily steps that add up over time. Fluency in English comes from 2 main parts: input and output. Input is the English you take in through listening and reading. There are 2 types: passive and active. Passive input happens when English is around you, but you're not fully focused, like listening to podcasts, music, or watching videos while doing chores. This helps your ears get used to the sounds, rhythm, and tone of English. Active input is when you focus fully on listening or reading. Take notes, highlight new words, shadow sentences by repeating them, or summarize what you learned. Active input makes your brain notice vocabulary, grammar, and sentence patterns more clearly. Output is the English you produce, speaking and writing. This is how you express your ideas and practice thinking in English. Even a few minutes every day builds confidence and helps you communicate more clearly. Without output, your understanding won't turn into real fluency. Balance is key. Too much input and little output? You understand English but cannot speak well. Too much output and little input? Your sentences may lack vocabulary or proper structure. A good rule to follow is the 1:1 rule. For every 10 minutes of listening or reading, spend 10 minutes speaking or writing. This keeps your practice balanced and effective. Common mistakes and how to avoid them. Focusing on one skill only. Listen, read, speak, and write. Practice all 4 skills to develop full fluency. Relying on passive learning. Don't just listen or read. Turn passive input into active learning. Shadow sentences. Summarize what you read or write about it. Fear of making mistakes. Mistakes are not failures. They are learning tools. Every error helps you improve and build confidence. Practical steps you can start today. Listen to English every morning. Podcasts, YouTube, or audiobooks are perfect. Write a few sentences each day. Keep a journal, share your opinion, or summarize what you learned. Speak English for 5 minutes daily. Talk to yourself or record your voice and listen back. Read short articles, blogs, books, or graded readers about topics you enjoy. Create a weekly plan that combines both input and output. Even short daily sessions add up over time. For example, you could listen to a podcast in the morning, write a few sentences at lunch, and speak about something you read in the evening. The key is consistency, not perfection. Recommended resources: podcasts, All Ears English, The English We Speak, BBC, Luke's English Podcast. YouTube, BBC Learning English, Speak English with Mr. Duncan. Reading, Graded Readers News Websites, Simple Wikipedia. Apps and tools: Oni/Quizlet for vocabulary, Grammarly for writing, Tandem for language partners. Final message: believe in yourself. Fluency is not about being perfect. It's about communicating clearly, practicing consistently, and improving step by step. Take action now. Write down a weekly English routine, start speaking or writing today, and include both listening/reading and speaking/writing in your plan. Every small step adds up. Fluency is built daily, one habit at a time. Make English a part of your daily life. Stay connected with learning every day. Even small actions like listening to a podcast, writing a few sentences, or speaking for 5 minutes can make a big difference over time. If you enjoyed this guide or episode, subscribe to Code Your English for more practical tips and lessons. Share your biggest takeaway in the comments and tell your friends who are also learning English. Learning together helps you stay motivated and see progress faster. Here's a simple challenge for today. Decide one small thing you will do right now to improve your English. Speak aloud for 5 minutes, write 3 sentences, or read a short article. Just start. Small daily steps lead to big breakthroughs. Final words: fluency is not something that happens overnight. It comes from practice, consistency, and confidence. Keep listening, reading, speaking, and writing every day. Keep trying, even if you make mistakes. Every effort adds up, and every mistake is a step forward. Thank you for being part of this journey.
Keep going. Keep speaking.
Keep believing in yourself. Your English will grow one step at a time, and before you know it, you will be fluent. I'll see you in the next episode.